Hi, I want to welcome everybody to the CCW Safe Podcast. I'm Rob High, here with my co-host Phil Naiman, and today we are honored with a really special guest. We got Kris Paronto. Some of you guys know his story. Some of you guys know the story, but you don't know him, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit today. Kris, thank you so much for jumping on and joining us, brother.
Oh no, thank you, and forgive me
I don't think
again.
he was jumping.
I was trying to jump. I was jumping on my good leg. Yeah, but and thank you for letting me just do it out of my bed here with all these pillows and stuff. Yeah, my ice in my knee. Guys, I can't thank you enough. Yeah.
Let's explain that for the people who just came on here.
Okay.
So it's, nobody's over there feeding him grapes with a fan leaf or anything like that.
Oh, are you kidding
Just
me?
had a major knee injury this week, and he is so tough. He's still coming on this show to do a battle of wits with Rob here. Not a battle of wits with me, but with Rob. And we appreciate your time and your service, buddy.
Thank you, sir. No, and yeah, definitely. My wife said when I called her and I couldn't get a hold of her, I texted her. I said, yeah, I blew my knee out. She goes, shit, Ranger, rub some dirt on it. Seriously, I got the text. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, that's the love I get in my house. So yeah, ain't nobody feeding me grapes, man. It's not gonna happen.
For those of you that aren't aware, Kris was one of the guys that was at the embassy in Benghazi. We're coming up on that 10-year anniversary right now. But absolute incredible heroism in the face of overwhelming odds, really. I mean, and Kris will tell you guys when it gets to a point like that, you just fight like hell. It's just there's no quit, there's no stop. Phil and I talk about training and mindset and understanding your mission and that kind of thing, but this takes that to a whole entirely different level. Kris, kind of give us a rundown on your upbringing. Where'd you grow up? Your background, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. No, my upbringing had a huge part in where my life is going. I grew up in Alamosa, Colorado. It's first I was born, but my family, my grandfather and grandmother, I didn't know my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side when he was 1 year old. So my dad didn't even know his parents, but I knew of them. My grandfather on my dad's side was on a B-2 crew, a B-52 crew. I'm sorry, and he got shot down, and that's how he passed away. He was shot down on a mission. I thought that was one of the coolest things. When I was a little kid, my dad gave me his Purple Heart, his little medal, and I didn't know what it was, but I love that thing. In fact, I still love that thing. It was like one of the coolest things in the world. And I don't know if I got in the military mindset then or not. I just knew that this was an awesome award, a Purple Heart, and maybe that started leading me down that road. I don't know. Subliminally, maybe it did. But on my mom's side, my grandfather and grandmother, they were pickers. They came over from Mexico, and that had a huge influence on me growing up, as I can look back on it now, because they never complained. They never said we got a short end of the stick because of our race. I'm Hispanic. They never said, oh man, yeah, we're Mexican. We don't, no, nothing. I never heard anything out of their mouths, but you work hard. Work hard, things are going to go well. Work hard, you're going to get yourself moved up in whatever you want in life. Work hard. It's the same analogies of the positive analogies that we just don't hear anymore, because we're more inclined to hear the negative stuff of that it's somebody else's fault. And it was never with my parents or my grandparents. Oh, no. You didn't make it. Maybe you need to work a little harder. And that was how I was brought up. And my father hugely brought it because, of his hardships, very poor as well. It just was always work hard, you'll excel, work hard. So they pick you. If you don't get picked on a team, I always get this from my dad. You didn't get picked on the team? Well, then work harder so they cannot not pick you on a team. Doesn't matter what you look like, your name is. My grandfather said the same things. Makes no difference, hijo. It makes no difference, hijo. You work hard, they won't say anything but that you work harder than everybody else, and you're going to get picked. And so that was in me growing up throughout elementary school, high school. I played college football. I think there's a reason I got a scholarship to play football. I actually did very well in athletics. And so when I got into the Army, the mindset of never quit, it was already there. It hadn't blossomed yet, like the Ranger Battalion can do. It can make you blossom, or it can make you fold quick like that. it taught me that never quit. You can even go to the next level. And as long as you don't stop moving forward, we have a saying when we're room clearing, room clearing, find work. You're always finding work. Never stop till the op's done.
Right.
It's the same thing. I'm always just finding work, get better, move forward. Even if it's baby steps, as long as you're moving forward, you're going to get better. And you're going to better yourself.
Can you go back over that?
Yeah.
Find work, move forward. I mean,
sure. Well,
that out.
And that's why I love firearms training, because firearms training is such an analogy of being successful in life. You're always finding work. We'll use the CQB adage of finding work. When I first started to learn how to clear ruins at Ranger Battalion, which, Rangers learn from some of the best guys, and then they bring the unit guys down, the Delta guys down, or they bring the RRD guys down, or the senior guys from Ranger Battalion to teach us. It was always never stand still, never stop moving, always find work, always find a corner to clear, always find an area to pull security, always look for a threat in a room. You do not stop doing that, because once you stop, and urban and room clear and a CQB environments, building environments, it's not even a 360, it's a 720 environment. You cannot stop looking and not stop finding work. Well, to me, it was, when I heard that, it was such an analogy just to life itself. If we stop moving and we stop finding work, not necessarily finding work as in a job, but finding things to do to better ourselves, whether it's reading a book, whether it's taking online classes at E3 Firearms Association, I had to throw that in there, but that's a finding work. Whether it's even just going and cleaning your house for the day so the house looks better, you're finding things to better yourself and to better your position in life. And it does transition, and it does to being even more successful, because employers and bosses see that. They say, man, we call them self-starters, right? You can't teach a person to be a self-starter. They either have it in them or they don't. Well, I disagree. I think you can teach them at an early age with parents and grandparents. That's what I learned mine. But once they get to the job, you really can't teach them. I agree with that. So that's what the finding work adage comes from. And that is strictly from Ranger instructors telling me to find work in the urban training we used to do, and then also the CQB training, and then the real world stuff that, then of course it definitely applies, and you see how it applies when you do the real world stuff. But that being said, I just took it and I was like, man, this is something that should be an analogy of life itself if you want to be successful. So but it started at that early age from my grandfather and my grandmother, because you know why? Because they always found work. They got up every day. My grandfather started as a picker, and when he passed away, he owned his own farm. If that's not the freaking American dream, I don't know what is. And if that's not that shows you the value of hard work, I don't know what does. So yeah, I've had people ask me about race, like, hey, did you ever, because, and I look, I kind of look Hispanic. I think I got a little bit more Navajo Indian in me that I look Hispanic. But that being said, I never was, well, you know what, you were never faced racism or nothing like that. Like, well, that's because my grandparents never allowed me. It wasn't in the household. That wasn't in our vocabulary. That we were never going to blame somebody else for a shortcoming that we had. We were going to figure out what that shortcoming was, work on it, improve. And then if we ever get in that position where that shortcoming might show itself again, it won't, because we've practiced and we've trained, and we know that, hey, I'm not going to let that obstacle, whatever beat me before, it's not going to beat me again. But again, that's firearms training in a nutshell. If you look at it, to get better, you just got to get better.
That is so good, brother. It's the whole built-in, you raise a kid, and if you're not doing that by the time those kids are 8 and 10 years old, you not only have you done an injustice to them, but you've broken them. You've really given them the foundation to be successful. I was very fortunate to have a good family unit. My parents were both self-motivators. They did their own thing. I come from both sides of my family were military people or law enforcement people. Athletically, my siblings we were allowed to do anything we wanted to do, but once you start, there's no quitting.
You finish. Yep, you got to finish. Once you start, you finish. That's what my dad always just say too.
If you don't like it next year, you don't have to do it again. But this year you started it, you're going to see it through. Yep. There's a lot of lessons in that. I don't know why. Mine was early on was wrestling, and I think I really enjoyed the fact that not only was there nobody to take the credit from my work and my results, there was also nobody to blame it on.
Blame, yeah.
It's on you. Make it happen, make it work. But I also, I played football and things like that. So the team aspects as well.
Yeah.
It was such a great environment to grow up in. I'm a kid from the 60s. So I really, a lot of my coaches and things like that, these are guys that were coming out of the Vietnam era and those kind of things. Just different kinds of mindsets. And we've become, and we want our kids to always have it better than what we had it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you won't find my kids whining and moaning because they don't have something, because, well, I don't have a job, I don't have this. There's work to be had everywhere, all the
lot. Yeah, a lot right now.
Yeah,
I've never not had a job.
Same thing with ours growing up. They weren't allowed to quit anything, and then I'm bored was like a death nail, because when they said that, man, the work came out.
Yes.
I think I heard that twice from them in their entire life, because after that they knew just find something to do before dad picks it.
Yeah, I got laundry mode. I got room. Clean your room. You're bored. I know you can clean your room right now, so go ahead and go do that.
I had a nephew came and lived with us. Bad family situation, so he lived with us through his high school years, and he'd get to that. He was a little older than my son, so he was 15, 16 years old. I said, go for a run. I said, don't come back till you've done 3 miles. So you need to get your energy out. Go, because you stay here, I'm gonna pound you flat. So go run. And he ended up becoming a great Marine, and he ran all the time after that. But it was like he had to find a release for that angst energy at age 16, and running was a great idea for it.
Oh, it does. I'm obviously not doing it right now, but I see myself as a spiritual runner. I love running just because it clears my head. But where it started from, and I was a very good runner in the Army. Actually, I could run. I'm very proud to say I could run fast. I could do 5-minute miles. I could do 2 miles, at right around 10 something. And the thing is wise, because I think it was a lot of it. Yeah, I had a lot of energy too. So I was always told, get outside then. Go get outside. Go waste your energy outside. We don't need you in here. And so I did. I spent a lot of my time, not just playing football, but just being out in the farm. And there was the blessing of being on a farm as well. I could go. And at that time in our lives too, my parents could just let me go, and I'd take my lab, and they knew I was going to be safe, and I'd walk a mile to the Colorado River.
You said that was the Alamos, Colorado?
Alamosa, Colorado. And then
that's down there by Blanca, Fort Blanca.
Yeah. So by Mount Blanca, Fort Blanca, Mount Blanca, Great Sand Dunes, right there on the Sangre de Cristo Range. Beautiful place to grow up. And then my grandfather's farm, when he got his farm, he moved to Western Colorado, which was in Delta. But you're still up by the Grand.
Where was his Western town?
Delta, Colorado.
Delta, yeah. So, I know Mount Blanca, Mount Blanca. I know Delta. We hunt out of Montrose all the time.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place to grow up. So growing up there, and again, at the time, I could just take my 22, this was what I loved. People ask me this as well, and since we're talking about, we're on the CCW on the podcast, is that how do you train kids anymore? Honestly, the hunter safety courses that we used to take as kids are still I think as an entry level, are still the perfect courses to do. I tell guys, you don't need to invent something new, because we have Instagram and you want to be the first to do. Training is training, safety. Hunter safety, you don't need to change that. That was perfect. And that was the first time I could get my 22, is I had to go do a hunter safety course. My dad said, nope, no soup. You can have your pellet gun and your BB gun, but he's called no real bullets until you took a hunter safety course. And I still remember that course. I still remember the safety. I still remember some of the breakdown stuff we did as far as breaking, and it may have been an extra thing for us, but he broke down a little 22. But I still remember the hunter safety course. And I remember the importance of safety, how it was stressed, because the firearms is an inherently dangerous object, especially if it's in the wrong person's hand. But in the right person's hands, it can be an extremely helpful tool and can save lives. But where did that all start? When I was 10 and I went through a hunter safety course. And I still think that's the best way to train new kids coming in. And it was very unintimidating, non-intimidating. It was very, very, honestly, I had fun. But it all started, just growing up and from my grandfather and the value of hard work and knowing you had to do something if you wanted to seek that reward. Well, my reward was the 22. What did my dad require me to do? I had to go take a hunter safety course.
Yeah.
Why aren't we still doing that today? I don't even know if we do.
They're actually illegal in California for use.
Oh, that's I forget. Love politics. Just love politics and politicians. That to me, that was my introduction to really firearms and guns. But I didn't get into it. I wasn't a huge hunter growing up. I did some bird hunting, pheasants, and then gophers, the prairie dogs. That used to be the great prairie dog hunt in Nuclear, Colorado, but because it's harmful to the prairie dogs that are now overrunning the whole western side of the state, it's not allowed anymore. But really guns and things where I started to get more involved, of course, is when I joined the Army. And that was, out of all the things we did in basic training, the two funnest things I ever had doing was going to church on Sunday, because I knew I could get away from the drill sergeant. So brought God more in my life, honestly. And then also, the week that you spend out doing your M16, which at that time, M16A2, I don't know what they do now, qualifications. And to get that badge, that I want that expert. I want that 36 out of 40. And I still remember the feelings of that shooting and how it just fit. I grabbed that M16, I shot 35 the first time I got it. Gosh, I missed it by one. But I just remember how fun it was. And that's when firearms, and of course I had a RIP contract, which is now called the Option 40 contract, to go to Range Battalion. So of course I was going to get into it more, and I knew that, but it was something I looked forward to. So I could get through the crappy basic training parts. I went through in 95 when they were still hazing the heck out of us, and you need that. I definitely believe you need the beat downs, not beat downs. I'm not talking early Army, Full Metal Jacket, but you needed that.
To break them down to make them into a team.
You had to, and they were physical with us. I never got hit, but would they grab us? And yeah, of course they did. But it was well freaking deserved. I saw a New York kid get knocked on his ass because he smarted off to a drill sergeant on the first day of basic training. And did it make my butthole go like this? And did I go, oh my gosh, all right, mind my P's and Q's. Remember what your dad said, discipline, have discipline, mind your P's. Yeah, it did. That first day, boom, that New York kid flew across that desk. The drill sergeant just came around. He checked him. And but I tell you what, we had probably had the best platoon in the whole company the rest of the time, because we were like, I was just like, holy crap, I didn't think this stuff still happened. But I know that incident helped me get better, because it did make me refocus on and understand what discipline was, and also be like, hey, discipline was and how important it was, just to pull the stuff I learned growing up, but also situational awareness more so. Well, situational awareness to know where the drill sergeant was, you knew when to get away with something. but the discipline to, hey, attention to detail. And you don't, and Robin and Phil, I didn't think of that at the time, but now that I'm out and I'm able to think back at it, I can see that's what they were going for, and that's what they were getting out of me. And it in their unorthodox way, unorthodox or orthodox, however you want to look at it, it was the right way for us at that point in time. And to say that it didn't help me on my 10 years of deploying overseas, it did not help me when I was in Benghazi to never quit. No, it helped me. I needed that. I needed to see that. And it did help me and become a stronger person. So when I really needed it to not quit, so we could find a way to get out of there alive and help the team, it was there ingrained. But that's where it starts. And I think the kids miss that. You don't need to beat the kids, but you do need the discipline. And you can't accept it when somebody says they're a cat. You got to tell the kid, no, you're not. You're not a cat. You are what biology tells you to be. And I do believe in biology. Of course, I believe in God. This is what you are. You're a man, you're a woman. That's what you are. That's what you are. And let's stop making it okay to just be whatever you want, because that's not how life works. It's not going to treat you that way. And that boss is sure as hell isn't going to tell you, you identify as a cat. Nah, yeah, that's the kind of person we're looking for. Come on over. We want to hire you.
Yeah, we have a I'm just wondering, if they're identifying as a cat, do they have to have sexual identified litter boxes? Like
They are-
this is for
they're-
boy cats. This is for girl cats. What do we have to do in the workforce for that?
And people, honestly, I know people out there like, oh, that doesn't happen in small town Kansas. That's why I'm saying this. Is because it's happening in one of our small towns here in Kansas, small town Kansas. They have to have a litter box in the bathroom. Now, maybe they've addressed it since
No.
then. Yes, and they might have
I
addressed
was
it.
making that up.
I know, brother, but that's
I was
that's
trying to make it up. I didn't know I was repeating history.
no, you know, yeah,
I was trying to be ridiculous.
and that's how ridiculous things have gotten because we have failed at teaching hard work and discipline, and that hey, bad things happen. Obstacles might happen. You can get over them, but if we're okaying to say, if we're finding reasons to okay it being not different, we're all different, but okay to be. I don't say okay to be a cat, but that's essentially what it is.
But somebody okayed it. So there was a supervisor that said,
We're
this is a
failing.
good idea.
We're failing our youth just on the basics of
Yeah,
the basics of overcoming adversity. Hey,
The
man.
simple thing for me is to just tell somebody, go grab me an egg from a rooster or bring me a bucket of milk from a bull.
Yep.
And when you can do those things, I'll listen to your argument. But until that, well, I'm just
Oh, no.
going to stay old fashioned.
Well, and that's-
Somebody, but Rob, somebody authorized
Yeah.
that action. Somebody condoned it to the point of, we're going to start putting litter boxes in the restrooms.
And the reason I bring that up, we kind of went sideways there. Why I thought that is because I thought
A little
about my grandmother if I'd done something like that, and how she would. Oh my gosh, just my grandmother. She would. No, it wouldn't happen in the house. It'd be done. Like, no, you are who you are. You're a boy. You're a man. Start acting like it. I remember hearing that all the time. But it's necessary, and it is. That's why I believe going in the military and it whittling me that way to be that person with situational awareness, going through hard times, but overcoming those hard times, going through a divorce while I was in basic training. Man, I got that Jody. I got the Dear John letter, and still having to make it through basic training. That's obstacles and adversity that I don't think I would have been able to make it through and recover from if I hadn't had that hard discipline. Really parental figures, not authority figures, parental figures. They love me to death. I still got to do a lot of stuff when I was growing up that I wanted to. I wasn't locked in my bedroom. I didn't have to have hospital corners on my bed, but I had a lot of discipline, positive discipline, but also negative reinforcement if I needed to. When I shot my brother with the Daisy BB gun, I got my ass spanked with the Daisy BB rifle by my mother. I deserved that. Taught me again, don't shoot your brother with the BB gun anymore.
When your mom's home.
When my mom's exactly.
Hey guys, I just need to hop in here a minute. Phil, can you fix your camera focus?
It's a little blurry, Phil. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might just be the internet.
There
It
you go.
sometimes we get a little low on that.
But
It's my gel shot, so I look a little
It is.
fabulous.
Great. Thanks, guys. Continue.
but yeah, as I went in and then the military, first time I was in the military, I think we might have even talked about this, Phil, last time. I was kicked out of the military. I did something really stupid. I did. My wife, I got that Dear John letter, and I went off the rails when I went home on block leave. And yeah, I was going to ambush the guy she was screwing around on me with. And God always, I think God loves the sinners. God loves the screwed up. And before I got there, I got stuck in a mud bog. They were building houses where his house was, and I had a Bronco 2, which if anybody that's owned a Bronco 2 4-wheeler, my ass, no, it's
Not a Bronco.
It's not. But as I'm going there, I got stuck in the mud because they were doing a lot of construction. It was winter time, but it was wet in that western slope. I was in Grand Junction, and but I thought about it and I went back home and I thought of myself even a bigger failure. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't keep a marriage. Someone's cheating on me. I can't even carry out this, which would have been murder. I mean, come on. I'm not going to say it anymore than that would have, but I can't carry this out either. And I started taking pills and drinking Jack Daniels until I just couldn't feel myself anymore. And I called God bless Ranger buddies, man. I called my buddy Matt, who was home on block leave as well. We joined together. He's actually, as I was an E4 there, he actually went the commission route. He was the first lieutenant at I became a first lieutenant at Ranger Battalion and then a captain. But I called him. He was on block leave too. And I said, brother, I've done some stupid shit. I said, this is what I did. And of course, he rushes over. I get to the hospital, get my stomach pumped. Long story short, get back to the second Ranger Battalion. I tell you what, I thought they were going to ostracize me. I mean, they thought I really did, because you're at Ranger Battalion. There's no tolerance, right? You have any tolerance for weakness? There's no tolerance for screw ups. There's no tolerance for being stupid, especially something like that. Those guys rallied around me. I mean, they moved me into the barracks. They rallied around me. That's why I love Ranger Battalion. I love being a Ranger, because in that one time where, honestly, that's where weakness truly did show in my, it did. I gave up. They didn't push me aside. They came and rallied around me and said, we got you, man. You're going to be fine. Because of what I did though. And of course I had to tell the military investigators, I had to tell the healthcare professionals at Madigan Army Hospital, they said, well, you can't be in the military anymore. I don't know why First Sergeant Grippy, who was later Sergeant Major Grippy, he was my first sergeant at the time, tremendous Ranger, Hall of Fame Ranger. And then Captain Pete LaCamera, who's now, I think it's Major General LaCamera now. They managed to get me an honorable discharge, something I didn't deserve, but I got it. That saved my life. To this day, I say those guys saved my life, because it allowed me to fix my stuff. Okay, remember my grandfather, my grandmother, my dad, fix your shit. Big boy, get back up on the horse. You fell off, fix it. I did. I applied for grad school. It's the only thing I could do with I got out with an honorable discharge, but it was also, I had an RE code of 3, which means you really screwed up. Shouldn't get this honorable discharge, but if you ever want to get back in, it's going to be next to be impossible. So it was really hard for me to get a job. And I didn't want to stay in Grand Junction to get a regular. I didn't want a regular job. So I applied for grad school. Like I said, keep finding work, better yourself. And I went to grad school. And for the next 2 years, while I had to wait for the 2-year time frame before I could re-enlist in the military, I got my master's degree. So again, that adage of just finding work and getting better, it was still there. And I actually got my master's degree, re-enlisted, and I went back and I did it all over again. I did basic again, I did infantry basic again, I did airborne again, I did Ranger indoctrination again, went back to, I don't know how I got to the same company. I went right back to 2nd Ranger Battalion, went back to Bravo Company. I went to school, got my tab, and life was going great, man. Things are fantastic. And I got slotted to be an officer. So I went from getting kicked out of the military to now I'm going to become a commissioned officer. And I thought, honestly, I saw that to be a little ironic, to be honest with, but I did fix myself. I completely got remarried to a wonderful woman that I'm married to right now. Hopefully she's hearing this. I think she's in the other room. So hopefully she's hearing me say this right now. Because she's
the other part she should hear was,
she's a wonderful woman.
The other she should hear was, God saved you from the first one, because she weighs 300 pounds now.
Oh, that she might. I could be, brother. I don't know. It's a possibility. But honestly, that's kind of where my life started to, it really did. It just started to take off. But where did that start from? Don't give up. You work hard. You don't ever quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And and from then on, I did get my commission. I did become an O2, and then we're on a training op in Fort Benning, and it was hot. Didn't feel right. Stomach was burning. It just didn't feel good at all. And I passed a little gas and I shorted. I thought that's what I did. Hey, come on, we all done out. If everybody that's served in Fort Benning in the summer, when you're dehydrated and you just don't feel right, and you don't want to go one of those wood shacks to take a dump. Everybody's done it once or twice, but mine was different. And I knew when I reached back, I was like, oh, that's not good. And it was sticky, and it didn't look like a bunch of blood, but I knew there was blood in there. It just didn't feel right. Well, I had ulcerative colitis. I had a severe case of it. My guts were rotting away. And that was another obstacle, honestly, that was unexpected. I didn't see, that was one time where I was looked at God. I did. And I looked up and like, I've been through all this. Really? What did I do to deserve? It was like, what did I do to deserve this? But you can't look at it that way. God has reasons, and I'm glad he did it. I'm looking back on it now, but at the time, It was a very severe case. My guts were completely inflamed. It just looked like road rash on my lower intestines and my colon. And I lost 30 pounds, I want to say, in a couple of weeks. I couldn't eat. Everything just kept going through me. There were massive amounts of prednisone, and I got medically discharged in 2003. So I go from all this hard work to come back, and now I'm finally back. And actually, I'm becoming a commissioned officer. I'm going to go back to Ranger Battalion as a platoon leader. I mean, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this happens. But it was a good prep, because when your buddies die out of nowhere and you got to keep fighting, you got to find that from somewhere. And I didn't, of course, at the time I wasn't thinking that, but now looking back at it, it's like, you know what, that was supposed to happen. God did that for a reason. There is a reason. And I was very blessed. For the first year, I didn't know what I was going to do. I did get some, I got medical retirement. I got a little bit of money, and I do every month. And the military treats me well. They took care of me. But it wasn't a ton. And I got my health back. It took about a year to get my health back. And then I got a call in 2004 from, and with a span of 10 minutes, a guy from Blackwater called me, and then a guy from Triple Canopy called me. And I didn't know what they were. And the Blackwater guy says, "Hey, do you want to go to Iraq?" And I said, "Well, sure, I'd love to, but I'm not in the military anymore. What do you know?" I didn't know what contractors were. Yeah. And he goes, "No, we want you to be a contractor in Iraq." And I said, "Well, I don't build houses, guys." I said, "I don't know. You think you got the wrong guy. I thought they meant a building contractor." They said, No. We want you to do security work for us in Iraq. And we got your name from a friend that served with you, a buddy that was a ranger that went to Blackwater before me. He gave him my name. And they said, "Are you, and after that, it was off and running. I mean, I was for 10 years. The next 10 years, I'm deploying. I'm with Blackwater. The reason I picked Blackwater over Triple Canopy, I thought they were both excellent. Eric Prince at that time, I thought he was doing an excellent job. Triple Canopy had Lee Van Arsdale, who's freaking Delta legend. So both those companies, I don't think I could have gone wrong with either. Yeah. But I went over with Blackwater, and for the next 10 years, I'm Iraq, Afghanistan, Kurdistan, Yemen, Libya, South America, Central America. I mean, I got to do some really cool things that, if all that adversity didn't happen, or if I'd been in the military, not saying I wouldn't have been able to do cool things with the Rangers. Of course I would have, but it was perfect for me because there was very little oversight at the time, and you really are on your own. You're flying by the seat of your pants, and it was awesome. Those Wild West days. And I'm not gonna knock it. We were getting paid. Yeah, those early days we were making some good money. Yeah. And so, but it's fun because starting from the beginning, how did that all happen? It all started from being a kid and just telling my grandparents never let me quit. My mom never let me quit. My dad, "Get up back on your horse, son. You fell off. Get up back on it and keep riding." And then from find work, always finding work. And, it applies in life. Of course, it applies to the military operations, but just in life in general, I would never have got to that point if I ever would have felt sorry for myself one time. And I wasn't able to do that because my grandparents and my parents never let me feel sorry for myself. And I think that's where we have problems today with some of the youth is we allow that, or we accept that, or we're afraid to say, "Hey, you screwed up, fix it." Humiliation is a great teacher to how to excel, just as accommodations are. The attaboys are great, but also going back to my hometown after getting kicked out of Ranger Battalion with my tail between my legs in a small itty bitty town where everybody knows you, that was humiliating. I never wanted to feel that again. So I think we're failing our kids by not letting humiliation every once in a while be the teacher. But that comes back to this training. That's what training is. You miss shots, dude. I remember running against when I throw around doing a shoot. Do you not think everybody, Tanto? Yeah, but it's a joke. But that's part of the training. All right, bullets down range, can't take it back. Readjust, re-aim, refire. Let's knock it out of the park. So I think training. It's okay to learn and teach and be positive, but there is some training value. And I know for a fact to missing, to not winning, to actually throwing a shot that, believe me, everybody's going to make fun of Tanto when he throws a shot. It happens. It's okay. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not perfect. But that humiliation makes me, okay, refocus, Tanto. You screwed up. What'd you do? Trigger press was wrong. Hold is wrong. Did you not get a good sight picture before you press the trigger? It helps me readjust and re-aim and refire and hit the target the next time.
Did your grandmother help you overcome adversity with a phrase says something, oh, I don't know, like at this point, Senator, what difference does it make anyway? Was that your grandmother's saying?
Yeah, my grandma, if she was alive and she would have saw that on TV, Hillary would have been, she would have grabbed her up by her scruff and my grandma would have been livid. No, grandma never said anything. What difference does it make? She would always say, make the difference. You are the difference. You better make it. If you didn't make the difference, then you need to, again, it always comes back. You better work harder so you do the next time. Oh, my grandma was since passed before that happened. But I tell you what, Abuela, she wouldn't have put up with that kind of crap. That's not her at all. No, no. And yeah, that lady's going to get off scot-free. She will. It's just how it's going to happen, but she'll be judged. I'm not worried about it. God judges. Everybody gets judged.
So
I'm okay with that.
So for those of you who've lived under a rock for 10 years, what we're talking about here was a little bit of a skirmish in a Wild West town called Benghazi. An altercation, a neighborhood altercation over a soccer game, I think was the official Obama or video story on that. But since I wasn't there and somebody on this podcast was, why don't you tell me tell our viewers what you were doing out there and what happened, transpired?
Well, what we were doing, what we're doing out there, and that's the official is what it is. It's a half truth. We're always out there trying to find terrorists, even though our chief of base at that time didn't want to find terrorists. So our job was to go find terrorists, even though our chief of base wanted nothing to do with finding terrorists, because he wasn't a counterterrorism officer. He wasn't a CT, what we call CT guy. And most of the case officers there weren't CT. So what we were doing there was just honestly, what we were doing there unofficially, we were getting weapon systems, Gaddafi's arms, to get him into militias we wanted to completely destabilize the region. We'd already destabilized Egypt. And even Egypt, it wasn't due to some video. The riots were going on way before this stupid video came out. Libya, definitely, there was no video. We didn't even know, but we were destabilizing the region. So we destabilized Egypt. We helped with the coup. We'd overthrown Gaddafi, which shouldn't have done, but we did anyway. We destabilized that region. And then next was going into Syria. So we already saw what happened with the Iran-Contra affair, and we saw what happened with the Fast and Furious in Mexico. We couldn't just give arms to militias. But what could we do? We could give a dictator's arms to militias under the auspice of we were going to overthrow this dictator. Let's get his stockpiles now and secretly move them to militias so they can go ahead and do the assault in Syria and overthrow Assad.
How did Syria work out?
I think there's still some fighting. I know the news doesn't like to talk about it, but there's still 10th Mountain Division over there fighting right now, fighting terrorists. Yeah, ISIS is still alive and well. And even our attack in Benghazi, Al Qaeda was supposed to be on the run. The majority of the attackers, out of the 150 or 160 attackers we had that night that hit us, more than half of those guys were Al Qaeda in the Maghreb. And actually, al-Zawahiri is the one that okayed the attack. A lot of people don't know that. When I found that out, al-Zawahiri was the guy that actually said, hey, you guys go hit that. That's huge. If people that are been living on Iraq that don't know about the global war on terror, dude, that's number two. That's the number 2 guy that's telling, go hit Benghazi, go get the ambassador. We need him. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What we were doing there was unofficially is we were moving arms, Gaddafi's arms into friendly militias' hands.
As a patriot, right, who like our listeners who always believe the U.S. is we're always doing the right thing because that's our frame of reference. This is hard to hear.
It is, and it's hard because a lot of it is hard to hear, especially some people on the right. Is hard to hear because some of the people on the right were involved. John McCain was one of the big ones. He actually was in Tripoli. He showed up.
He's not on the right.
Yeah. He's the one that coined the phrase. What do you say? The friendly armed militias or friendly terrorists or something like that. He's calling that. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Friendly. but he was the one that was a part of it. John, Speaker Boehner was part of it at that going on. People don't know a lot about it. And then, of course, Mike Rogers from Michigan. And he's one of the Republicans that tried to slam us on the first committee. It's why Benghazi, the select committee came about after. But no, people on the ground are doing the right things for the most part. Special operations guys, for the most part, do the right things. I understand there are times when it's hard when you're there for a year and you see your buddies die and die and die. Any person's going to break. They are. And that's where you do see some atrocities in war. You do. It's just how it is. I don't condone it. I don't accept it. I've never done it. I've been able to control my emotions, but I'm not going to say that, man, that guy, he shouldn't have killed that person that we thought was a terrorist, but we weren't sure when he just saw his whole squad die 20, a few hours before. You don't condemn. We try to stop it within ourselves. And for the most part, we're able to do that. But that being said, it's the politicians that really, they don't have your back, and they're doing it for agendas. They're doing it for political reasons. We're not ever doing it because we want to go find some. I think the only time really that's happened, at least in my lifetime, was going after Osama bin Laden.
Yep.
That's what we should have done. And going into Afghanistan, we weren't trying to overthrow Afghanistan or even overthrow the Taliban. We were trying to find Osama bin Laden. The Taliban just happened to be protecting him. So guess what we're going to do? Well, you're all dead because you're harboring a fugitive that just killed thousands and thousands of people that attacked us. After that, though, it starts to become political, and it starts to become this money, and I think every time since then. But when you're on the ground doing the job, I never looked at the politics. I just liked doing my job. I liked working with the person to the left and right of me. I loved the brotherhood aspect. I loved that we were killing some terrorists. We were getting some and taking some out. But the politics, I can't stand. I can't stand any of it at all.
So did you guys on September 11th, was there a heads up on this attack?
If you watch the movie, that is right. There was a little sheet that came out a few days prior that said an American facility in Libya will be attacked. There'll be a bolo alert, to be on the lookout alert. But brother Phil, that came out everywhere we were at. It seemed like one came out every week. So it wasn't something new. It was like a CYA memo. Hey, cover our ass. So if something gets attacked, we can say that something got attacked.
Yeah,
even though we have no idea if something's going to get attacked. But we did.
Then what was the first indication that things were going south?
Not the gunfire, because you get used to the gunfire. It happens all the time. When our team leader, GRS team leader said, GRS wasn't the first call. First call, he said, GRS, we need you in the team room. Very nonchalant. Didn't seem like anything. Actually, the guys had thought I'd got us all in trouble again because I used to pick on case officers. So they thought we were getting called in to get dressed down because Tanto played a joke on a case officer. It was 30 seconds later, we get that second call, and he said, GRS needs you in the team room now. And just the tone. If you've been in law enforcement, you've been in the military, you know that tone. You just, the hair on the back of your neck stands up because it's time. And that adrenaline kicks in. And that's when I looked at Boone, and he was smiling at me. It was awesome. I love working with him. He's smiling at me, and I say what he's thinking. I know what he's thinking. I looked right in his eyes, and I said, man, we got to do something fun tonight. And we headed our gear, and we headed out the door. And then all the shooting, you could see where it was coming from. The consulate's maybe 3/4 mile away, if that. And I can see the tracers. At that time, we had the advantage of night vision. After Afghanistan or our complete debacle of a pullout, I don't know if we do anymore. But at
You mean the rearming of the Taliban?
Yeah, and every
$2 billion.
Yeah. But at that time we did. So, they used a lot of tracers. So you can see those tracers, a tracer, for those that don't know, it's a bullet that burns. I'm sure most of your audience knows that.
So you weren't at the ambassador's location when it started.
We were at our annex, which is 3/4 mile away. We stayed separately from them. And that's generally how it is. If you have a facility, you'll have an annex, and then you'll have an actual embassy or consulate or temporary mission facility is what they called this one.
The kennel.
That's what it was. And the reason they called it that is because if you lower it, if you degrade it, what the name is, that means you have to have less security. They didn't want to have fast company Marines, or they didn't want to have MSGs there, Marine security guards there. So that's why it kept going down in stature. It was an embassy. Then it went down to consulate. Then it went down to temporary mission facility, because by calling it that, they didn't have to get any American security there, except for State Department officers, which is just a few of them. But yeah, we saw the firefight, and for the next 30 minutes, we tried to get out of there. But being military and having discipline, all of us were older. Roan was in his 40s. I was in my 40s. Oz was in his 40s. Tig was 39. He was our youngest. All of us, we listened to our leaders. Bob was saying, don't go. We knew something was wrong. And he'd done that before. And I said something was wrong, not at the concert. We knew something shady was going on because he kept talking on his phone. I just found out, and I didn't know this, in fact, till I talked to my guest on my podcast today, that he said we were waiting on 17 Feb to take the lead. Today, I found out that 17 Feb commander that he was talking to on the phone told him after the first 5 minutes that they were not going to help. And he failed to tell us that. He kept lying to us and saying, we're going to get 17 Feb to help out. We're going to get 17 Feb to help out. They had
What is
told them
17th Fed?
that was the militia that was supposed to be friendly to us. That was like we always have
The Libyan
guard. And
in countries.
They may or may not have. We didn't have much rapport with them, but that was his thing. They were supposed to be the local response group for us. But for the next 30 minutes, man, it's hard. It's heartbreaking, and the adrenaline's going crazy, but you have to take that breath. Again, you have to, just like I said, take the breath. Take a breath, calm down, get control of that adrenaline. Panic breeds panic. I've seen it a million times, but you see one courageous person that can calm everybody down. And my team was courageous. Nobody was panicking. Everybody was doing their jobs, and it calmed me down. And we needed to calm all the case officers down, because it was like cats throwing firecrackers at cats. And that does you no good. So, but over that 30 minutes though, the State Department security team, man, I mean, they're just calling us. It's just pleading. It's like, GRS, that's what we are, GRS. GRS, where are you? GRS, you need to effing get here. GRS, we need you. GRS, we're dying. GRS, they're lighting the buildings on fire. So we're hearing them dying. We can see the firefight, and it's incredible. It is. If you've ever seen a firefight, even with night vision or with not at night, it's awesome. It's beautiful. But that 30 minutes we wait, and then finally we get a call from Alec Henderson. He's a State Department officer. He has locked himself in their tactical operations center, all the computers. He's watching his team get decimated. That's where all the CCTVs are. And he comes across the radio to us. It was like 9:57, almost 10 o'clock. And he says, GRS, if you don't get here, we're all going to effing die. Man, I saw Tyrone. Tyrone looked like Leonidas from 300. Tyrone was huge. Tyrone monster. He just stuck his arm out like this out the door. And I just saw this arm about this big come out of this armored car door. And I was like, this is awesome. Get a good combat with Leonidas. And we just took off the gate. We stopped to get our interpreter, which was kind of a story within itself, because I couldn't find him. But as soon as I stopped the cars, I was able to get out and find him. And that little guy, he was an interpreter. He wasn't a combat terp. He was a linguist. He was the bravest guy we had. Bravest. No business he had going with us. And he did. And he was willing to give of himself. And that motivated me.
I saw that in the movie.
Yeah. And that was pretty spot on.
Did you, when they gave that call, were you actually released, or did you guys just go?
We just went. We bucked orders and went. And we were reprimanded for that later. We knew we were going to. I mean, we didn't care. At that point, I always have an issue when somebody, and I love my law enforcement guys. I'm friends with a lot of them. I love my military guys. But I always have an issue when somebody doesn't do the right thing because they say they're going to lose their job. Yeah. No, that's horse shit. To me, that's cop out. That means
that's Nazi guard.
No, that's cowardice to me. I really believe it.
That's the Nazi guard syndrome. If I didn't do it, I was going to lose my job.
I was going to lose my job. Oh, you're right. You watch all those stories about, the internment camps and the concentration camps. I was going to lose my job, but no horse shit. You do the right thing. And that was the right thing to do. You can put a price on integrity. And would I have done it if I was on my own? So I still probably would have, But since I had a team of, at that time, 4 other guys, Oz was out at a dinner. He wasn't with us at that point in time because everybody else said it was easy. I mean, there was nobody, it was like, we're going. That's what I remember, honestly, the most. I remember a lot of stuff, but I remember that feeling the most of just, we're all in this together. We don't like each other. And that's another thing. We all didn't like each other. We didn't all get along. I think there's a big, civilians think there's a big, there's a misnomer that civilians think that if you're in special ops or with those teams, y'all like each other. Oh my gosh. You have alpha male egos all over the place. Of course you don't like each other. But you figure out how to get along, respect each other. And what comes first? That mission comes first. I don't like you. You don't like me. Screw that. We got a mission to do. Let's go get it done. And that's what makes Rangers Rangers. That's what makes SEALs SEALs. That's what makes Delta Delta. That's what makes ODAs ODAs. It doesn't matter if we like each other or not. We will always put that mission first, and especially if it's going to save lives. And so it was easy to go out the gate because I had those guys with me, and none of them were questioning that either. So we left, and yeah, we paid the price. We lost our security clearances because we bucked orders. And as a contractor, that essentially means you got fired. Without a security clearance, I can't do it. It didn't matter. And we drove down there, and we got about 400 meters from the consulate gate. And terrorists are good at what they do. They're good. They're excellent. Just like I think the Vietnam guys will tell you, the Viet Cong and are just as good at what they do at guerrilla warfare. They're good. So what did they do? We had one main entrance point or access point that we could drive a vehicle down and get in there. That's the front gate. We had one on 4th Ring Road, but it was very heavily trafficked, and the back gate was locked. It was hard to get in there. It's the one me and Boone eventually went to and climbed over. But they did what we would have done. They put a heavy machine gun, they put a Dishka, they put a PKM, and it's just lead going down that fatal funnel. That's what we would have done. And we just managed with the 203. Tig shot some really good 203 rounds during that time and suppressed it. That grenade launcher. Yep, he shot it. It was he had a it was called HK-69s. They're the standalone breech fed, and he got some really good shots on target. And I'm telling you what, yeah, when that thing goes boom, and especially if you're at the receiving end of it, if you're not hit, it's going to make you run. And they were able to fight down the road that way. Rowan, Jack, and Tig, me and Boone started jumping walls, and you know what? That's where that never quit, that pain thing came in, because that first wall we jumped over. I'm kitted out with everything. I was wearing shorts. That's not movie magic. Actually, I still have those shorts in a tough box upstairs somewhere. It was a pair of shorts I made, and a pair of pants I made into shorts in Kandahar. It was a pair of True Spec pants. And I had a Kandahar tailor cut them and make them into shorts because it's hot in southern Afghanistan. But we started jumping walls, and man, I was getting tired, but I just kept remembering, don't quit. And I remembered Ranger School. I actually had a flat, it seemed like longer, but I know it was just like that. The first thing you do at Ranger School when you go to mountain phase is you go up Mount Yonah. You put your pack on. It's about 60 pounds. It's the second phase. So you've already gone through bending phase. You've gone through 3 weeks of pre-ranger. I'd gone through 2 weeks of 0 week and wrap week. So by the time you even get to mountain phase, I've been at Ranger School for a month and a half. But I didn't know it was coming. And as soon as you get off the bus, you throw your pack on and you go up this 5-mile trail called Mount Yonah. You scale a mountain trail with a pack on. And I wasn't ready for it. And I almost fell out. You fall behind the RI, you get kicked out. I mean, there's no second chances. You're done. And I about fell out. He was on my heels. Actually, I remember the RI barking at me. He's going, Ranger, you fall behind me, you're done. You're done. And I just, grandpa, don't quit. Find that gear. And I found a gear, and I just took off, and I finished actually third. That one's not a team event like Ranger School. It's a lot of it's team stuff. That one is an individual. You fall out, you're done. And I remembered that. And when I hit that second, I remember I hit that first 8 foot, 9 foot high wall, and I got to the top of it. I thought about Mount Yonah and the 5-mile trail, and that wall didn't seem as tall anymore. So it's like, I've done this before. I can do it again. And I didn't hurt. I was just felt like a little jackrabbit. It's amazing what your mind can do. Your body will quit on you. I mean, your mind will quit on you like that. Your body will never quit, but it's your mind that regulates that. And when I told my mind we're not quitting, it just, and I just 4 or 5 more walls. The movie showed us clearing one 4-story building. It actually was 2. We had one right next to each other. We climbed one, couldn't get fire on. We went back down and we climbed another one. And to tell you, I was gassed. I wasn't in pain because I just didn't really wasn't feeling it, but I was gassed. I was tired. I had a Mark 46, I had an M4, I had body armor, night vision, helmet, ammo going everywhere, an extra drum.
Everything but a canteen.
I did everything, but exactly. Had my Copenhagen still in my back pocket. It was still good to go. But it took us 30 minutes to go that 400 meters. We fought the way on. The movie did a very excellent job. They did, showing that. The explosions, and I'll tell people right now, things don't explode like that. I mean, they basically implode. But to be honest with you, under night vision, all you see is flashes. If we would do movies would show what really the explosion looks like to the naked eye, people would walk out of movie theaters with Tourette's because you're just seeing flashes everywhere. You just have to focus and take it all in. But it's pretty freaking awesome. And I couldn't have been more proud because that team had worked together for 30 days. That's it. And our small unit tactics are small unit tactics. We teach them to civilians now. I think there's some great classes out there that do that. Once you learn small unit tactics, though, there's nothing special about them. It's the same tactics. And we had never worked together, but we bounded, we moved together, we communicated perfectly. And that says a lot for the special operations community and the Marine community, the Marine infantry, and also the force recon community. It was amazing. Couldn't have been happier.
Chris, you said that there was, we know the 4 Americans who died, right?
Yeah.
But you said that the team was getting killed. So were there others, different organizations, different nationalities that were under attack originally?
As far as being in Libya, you're talking about?
Yeah.
We had actually a response. And he didn't, I shouldn't say killed, but we had a Canadian team there as well. They got attacked a month prior, coming down that same dirt road. They lived at the consulate too. They lived on the US consulate because they didn't have their own. They got hit with an RPG down that alleyway. And they were in level 7 Land Cruisers, but RPGs still will punch through that. And we had to force our way out of the gate to respond to that. And we eventually just went to that one. And one of their security guys was severely injured. I don't know if he died or not, got him out of there. But after that, the Canadians pulled chocks and they left. And then also USAID was there. They got hit with a IED on their doorstep. And then the Red Cross was there as well. And they got hit with an IED as well. So when I say I want to lump them in together because to me, those are allies. Those are people that are with us. As far as GRS and CIA, no, we were good. We were always the ones that were responding. That is what GRS does in those, even in Kabul and in Baghdad. We have freaks for everybody. We know what's going on. So if somebody says they need help, that's our job. That's part of our responsibilities to get out the door. But we're always fighting with Bob to get out that damn door. And as far as no, we were taking.
You said FOB. Could you tell us what FOB?
Oh, well, forward operating base, but we're always fighting with Bob, our chief of base, Bob, to get out the gate. A FOB is a forward operating base. We wouldn't call our places FOBs. That's military lingo, but same thing. We were a forward operating base for Tripoli. Tripoli was the main station. We were a forward base for Tripoli, but you can call it the annex. You would think the lingo could get the same. The military, DOD doesn't play nice with CIA, who doesn't play nice with NSA, who doesn't play nice with State Department. So they all have their damn different names. But brother, over there, it's just, I don't know what the hell, aside from just giving weapons to terrorists and then opening an English speaking school for Hillary Clinton, which she was going to come christen, the next year, really what we're doing there. So yeah, we weren't doing anything productive as far as killing terrorists, even though we were locating them. We couldn't action them at all. We weren't allowed to. So in my opinion, on the intel side of the house, we were getting killed. The Iranians, they were getting us. Al-Qaeda was live and well. Obama said they were on the run. No way they were on the run. They were all over the place. I surveilled one 2 weeks before the attack on our consulate. I took it to our targeter. Me and Boone did. We saw him. It was like, there's the trainer, AQI trainer. He's right there. He's training the guys how to do their attacks. But Kris Stevens, Ambassador Kris Stevens, guys, there are dilettantes who become ambassadors that donate money and they make them the ambassador of Switzerland and things like that.
He picked Libya.
Yeah, he was a foreign service officer. He started at the ground level, worked his way up. He loved Libya. He spoke Arabic fluently, very good. I think he was a little bit complacent because he'd been in these areas for so long, but I'm not going to say that's what killed him. It didn't. I mean, he was doing his job. Then we lost Sean Smith, who was the IT officer there. War's finicky, I've been 10 years and at that point, and honestly, I've been injured more in the last week than I was in 10 years of deploying. He's in war for 2 days. He's in war for 2 days and he's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it is though. And then of course, Tyrone Woods, former DevGru SEAL, and then Glenn Doherty, Bub, SEAL Team 3.
Doherty.
Yeah, Bub came over from Tripoli. He was that team that was able to get that oil executives jet, and it was an oil executives jet. It was one of those G5s or G6s. They flew to our rescue in style, but he came over with 3 other GRS officers and 2 Delta Force guys, because Delta sometimes worked with us on some of our bases.
And Bub, they just went also, right? They kind of just commandeered the jet and went.
They paid for it. No, they paid money. It was actually belonged to, and this is another irony, it belonged to a Gaddafi loyalist. So it was a Gaddafi loyalist oil executive's jet. They gave him money. And then at the end of the night, once it's all done, the fighting's all done, the irony of it all, that militia that came and rescued us, that I did the Jumbo to, and I did that. I did exactly, Pablo did perfect. Those were Gaddafi loyalists too. So that's the irony of it all. And that just tells you the stink of government. We went overthrow to overthrow. We went over there under the auspice that Gaddafi's bad, country's bad, overthrow Gaddafi. And then in the end, we get rescued by Omar Gaddafi. That's if that doesn't tell you
was
how
he
awful government
still
is.
alive at that point?
No, he was dead. He was dead. He still had the loyalists that were fighting. And actually, those are the loyalists that were fighting ISIS and Ansar Sharia after we left. They're the ones that actually were the ones that were doing our dirty work for us. We didn't go over there to overthrow Omar Gaddafi. We went over there because he was bad. We went there to get his weapons. That's what we did, to get his stockpiles. But in the end, his loyalists were the ones that saved us. And that's a metaphor for war right there.
Yeah.
And how shady government is. It's awful.
Different levels of respect there. It really is.
Well, and the night itself, I get into, if people watch the movie, they did a good job. I was very happy with how they did it. I think they could have promoted it more. I think they could, I think they lost a lot of money by not promoting it a ton, but it still did well. But the movie did a good job, and the personalities, the family dynamics that I think a lot of movies miss, even the little tidbits with the Skype calls, spot on. I mean, I would go right back there. I mean, like, wow, I remember that conversation. I remember sitting on that lawn chair with Boone going, man, I think it was the 4th attack that night where we fought him off again. I looked at him, I said, I'm in a lawn chair up on the roof, drinking water. I had a Snickers bar. I'm eating Snickers. I looked at him, I said, dude, they're going to get this figured out. They're going to come at us with something bigger. We're going to have to get off this rooftop and go get them, because we don't have the machine guns to reach out as far as they can. I didn't say that part. I just said, hey, dude, we're going to need to get off this roof and go get them, because they're going to come out with something bigger. And really what I was saying to them, and I think they did get this in the movie, the feeling was, we're probably going to die if we get off this roof. Are you with me? And just like Boone, he just turns to me and he goes, yep. He didn't say anything. He goes, yep. That little words didn't need to be said. I knew that I had somebody on my side. And it honestly, it chokes me up a little bit, because it's just, you don't get that anymore, man. You're going like, hey, it's like, dude, we're going to die. We don't want to die. We're not going to give up, but that's a strong possibility. Are you going to stand by me? Yeah, I am. Where do you get that? That in its essence is to me what Benghazi really was about. The brotherhood, the heroism, the courageous acts. I mean, Roan was our medic. he was running around bandaging people up. Then he'd get on a roof and fight. Then he'd run down and bandage people up. Then he'd get on a roof and fight. I mean, holy crap, that's amazing. And Bub,
And like you said, in that community, because you weren't all Rangers, you didn't all train together. You're all from separate sides. Guys who really didn't want to hang out together, but had to fight like that to the death, right?
And that's the respect that you have with the units themselves. We give each other shit. Yes, SEALs give Rangers shit, Rangers give Marines shit, all of it. But when it's time to fight, no, there's nobody's. You're with me, I'm with you. I got your back, you got my back. Yep. All right, let's go get after it. And God help whoever we're coming after, because you just poked the hornet's nest. And that's how it was even that night. We knew we were undermanned, but there was no doubt. It's like, you guys should not have messed with us. And Roan was the leader of that. Roan's like, yeah, they opened up the fire hydrant. Now here we come. And I get chills thinking about it, because it's like 6 guys going after 80, but it's like, they shouldn't have poked the bear. And that was for Roan. It was amazing.
You had about 160 combatants, right?
Actually, the number, 100, between 140 and 160. The numbers. I mean,
We'll
we've had
call it
numbers.
150 then.
Let's do it right in the middle. Let's just go.
How many after the fight? How many were left?
We got reports that we killed 40 to 50 is what the reports were that we killed. That came from the hospital. We still had an asset and asset in country at the time. Injuries, they have the Benghazi Medical Center. He just said they just kept bringing them in. They just kept bringing waves and waves in. And but that says a lot, on the training side of the house. I think so that's where movies really screw things up. Unless we have a belt-fed machine gun, I never went full auto. With M4s, It was well aimed, and I love trainers that do that. Well aimed, well placed shots. That's effective fire. That's 101 stuff. But dude, you got to get that. Effective fire is more important than just going out there and go. Blah, 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 blah. I think we do ourselves a disservice with a lot of these YouTube guys. They're good shooters. I know them. Some of them are friends of mine. But going out there and doing that, I don't think that's good training for people. I really don't. And you will never do that. You don't clear a room like that. You're responsible for every shot. And even that night in Benghazi, they knew that. They were using houses with kids to get closer to us, because they knew we wouldn't shoot that house, because we didn't want to kill a kid. I said it. That movie said, I don't want to kill a kid. I said that. They're coming through. I'm like, gosh, I have my 46 and I'm seeing them come through the windows. And I just want to rake that thing, because I know there's kids could be in there.
And plus they might just kill a kid and say it was you.
And say it was us. And that's happened. So, but on the training side of the house, I think one thing I'd learned from Benghazi, and I use that when I do my teaching, when I do my battle line tactical or my E3 stuff teaching, slow your ass down. Every site gets a sight picture. When you're under duress and you've got the habits down.
Back that up.
Yep.
Every what?
Every shot gets a sight picture. Every shot does. Well, Kris, are you really seeing the threat when it's coming at you? I'll be honest, guys. No, I'm not seeing the sight. They said, what do I get? I get the troll saying this. If somebody's coming at you, do you actually see your sights? I'll be honest. No, I'm grabbing you notionally, but I'm seeing that threat. Our eyes can only focus on one thing at a time. But I've practiced the right draw stroke, the right presentation, the right sight picture every time. That gun is going right to where it needs to be. And I tell them, you will speed up. I promise you, you'll shoot faster when somebody's coming at you. All right. You don't need to get on YouTube and go, bah, 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 and then have a shot group like this. Let's get those well-aimed shots. Let's get those knockout punches. And I learned that from the Delta guys train us. They'd come in, the unit guys. Don't spray. End the shot, end the fight. End it with one shot. You got more people you may need to get after. You may be in a
carry too
firefight.
much ammo then.
Exactly. I know. You don't want to do that. You may be in a fight for 13 hours. You never know. It could happen.
You never know. Well, Adam said earlier that, in the training, he said that the most important thing to him was drawing a clean draw on the first shot hit. Like that's the most important part on that.
Well, as you can tell, that's why we're partners with E3. We're partners on E3, because we have that same mindset. Make that first shot count. And then if you need to clean it up. I mean, that's and when you're by yourself, that's what you're doing. I actually feel you're coming on as an instructor too now. You're on, brother. We're coming with you at E3. But all that was just from learning from guys that shot a lot better than me, and then applying it when it needed to be applied, and remembering it because I was able to calm myself down. I think a lot of when I first started shooting, we heard a lot about instinctive shooting. I get that instinctive. We had rapid aim fire, slow aim fire, instinctive fires are 3 things that we taught at Ranger Battalion back in the day. In fact, it's even in the old marksmanship handbooks. As I got moving, I realized, and I think we're splitting hairs, but instinctive, when you look at it and you read the definition of it, it says your brain's not working. It means you're going automatic. I don't believe that. I think our brains are always working. I think your brain just works faster with the more training you do, and that become habit. You got good habits, and that's where that clean, like Adam said, that clean draw stroke. How do you get a clean draw stroke? By continuously practicing it so it becomes habitual.
Yeah.
Where do you get that presentation at? Continual practice. It's not instincts. Your brain has got those motor neural pathways that are doing it the right way, and then when that threat's in front of you, your adrenaline kicks in. But your brain's still doing everything the right way. You're just going faster because we have this superpower called adrenaline.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why when I train, I don't really get into, I get into a lot more thought processes and a lot more of the motor neural pathways and how important it is for repetition. I don't poo-poo the instinct when somebody says instinctives, because that's how I learned. And I think we are just splitting hairs. I just want people to realize, keep thinking. You need to keep thinking. This is your greatest weapon right here. This is secondary. Situational awareness is what's going to help you win or lose, or even just get out of a fight before it even happens, which means you won the fight. And then let your hard skills do their thing.
We interviewed Tony Blauer, and his thing is to take your first instinctive move, so everybody kind of flinches, but to actually train it into an action, right? And that was kind of interesting on that. But again, it's repetition. It's time and time again. The typical draw stroke that you're taught in a civilian class is hand goes to the gun, left hand comes to the chest, so you don't shoot your fingers off trying to grab your gun, right? Made them up, press towards the target. And his point was, if a guy steps into you, puts his left hand on your gun and his right hand on your chest, you're going down. You just lost both arms if he's that close, obviously. But it was just interesting about the different ways to train your mind. So your instinct is something other than,
Well, that's why combatives and edge weapons training are so important. We got to add that to the skill set, combatives training, and then just situational awareness. When somebody asked me that question, I'm like, well, why'd you get caught off guard? What was going on? Were you not paying attention? You just lost the initiative. So not saying it doesn't happen. It does with everybody. You know why it does happen a lot more than now? Because we have these stupid things, because we're sitting here like this. It keeps you out of what's going on around you. Don't get caught off guard. But if you get caught off guard, man, combatives training. Get in where you got your hands. So you know what to do with your hands. You know how to clear and create space. So you know about angles. You're not always stepping straight back, because you don't really want to step straight back. Because if that's me, I'm going with you. And guess what? We're going to the ground, and I'm going to be on top of you. I learned that from some of my great Ranger instructors, and then also some good stuff. Honestly, I even learned that. I did some stuff with Dieter, with Dwayne. I don't mind Dwayne. I like Dwayne stuff, but getting offline. It was always getting offline. It was never going back. It was just, if you got to move it at an angle, still moving forward, but get offline and have your hands ready to make space, to clear space. You guys know this. That's taught in your CCW classes around the country. Create space so you can get to that weapon system. But it's not always moving backwards. And that's it. You're right. The instincts shouldn't be this, but how do we get ourselves out of that? Training, and then doing the full spectrum training, combatives training, edge weapons training, which is huge. And I love
the combatives. I've actually signed up for a big old course January so I can go get pummeled and learn combatives.
That's part of it though. I got blindfolded, went through one course. They blindfolded us for a day and just beat the crap out of us. I still don't know the only,
Oh,
what they
where
wanted
do I sign up for that? Can I pay for that one?
you can't. I think that was actually a Dieter course. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what the hell did I learn? I can't use the force still. I still can't. It was just, honestly, I'm glad I went through it just because it was tough, and it was to see if I could do it. And I took an ice bath that night, but I still got something out of it. I did. And I got confidence that if I am blindfolded, I know I can take a hell of a big beating and still keep fighting.
I'll still be blindfolded.
But I didn't ever learn the force. I never became a Jedi. So it didn't work that aspect.
Yeah. Well, you got to get the right saber. Well, I know Tuesday morning I was shaving for work and I look in the mirror and it's got all these rub marks and bruises on my face from jujitsu. And I'm like, dude, you look like a tweaker. This is not a good look.
You meth head. I getting back to your flinchy stuff though, I just, the more training and the more confident you are in yourself, the less likely that you're going to flinch. But human nature, it's hard to break that flinch out of you. It is.
Well, his thing was to use the flinch response constructively.
Bring that.
So instead of, yeah.
I would say that's why combatives are great. That flinch response, bring that thing up to their face, up to their nose. And I've been lucky. I haven't been surprised in a while. I'll be honest, I'm not as paranoid. I'm not paranoid, but I do pay attention to my surroundings a lot more. If I'm looking at my phone for more than a couple of seconds, something inside my head goes, get your head up.
Yeah.
And I'll look around. Being caught off guard, we call it the initiative. You never want to lose the initiative. We lost the initiative in Benghazi. We waited 30 minutes. They had the advantage. We had to climb our way back up into it. It's the same thing as being surprised on the street. You lost the initiative. Now you have to climb back up this hole, just this mountain to get even so you can start the fight. I don't ever want to be like that. I want to be the one that's the aggressor. Even if I'm the defender, I can still be the aggressor by looking around and seeing what's going on around me so I'm not surprised. And then his OODA loop, because they're not trained. His OODA loop is the one that's going to keep getting reset. Now I got the advantage. But yeah, that flinch is something that it got out of me by doing more combatives and aren't. So I was confident. I don't even think it may have been even the skills. It was more of just confidence in myself. I know that I can handle myself. So I'm not going to be surprised as much as I used to be, but I still have my days. Yeah. My little boy will come up behind me. He'll smack me in my kidneys really hard that I'm not expecting it. Yeah, I flinch and it hurts a little bit, but that's my 7-year-old boy. And he's like his dad. So that's just
Is his name Cato?
His name is going to be Cato. It is. But my little boy, but it also, when he does it, I'm not going to lie, it does teach me, like, how did that little guy sneak up on me? What was I paying attention to? What did I do? I did something wrong. I do it. I AR myself. If that sounds how screwed up I am, I go, like, man, what did I do wrong for that little guy to hit me in the kidneys? But
you gotta hot wash it.
You do exactly everything. You hot wash AR. Man, was I putting chocolate in my mouth? Was I thinking of my coffee? What was I doing? But yeah, that's why I said we're always training. It's not paranoia either. It's just we're always training. We always should be learning and AR.
It's always fascinated me with the washout rates. That the more advanced you get, the higher that washout rate becomes. And it's one of those that you get people that want to, we want to dumb things down. We want to start making it easier. We want to do this. We want to do that. And the reason we're successful is because a lot of people want to say forged in fire. We forged through failures.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ability to go in there and go, okay, Tanto, what'd you do wrong there? Or Rob, when we cleared that door, you're doing a dynamic entry, and you absolutely floated through that first corner. No, we're not playing that anymore. And the guys that have got to those levels have hot washed every single action
and been humiliated in front of your peers because you do it in front of your peers.
But even dial it back and just go with a kid in an athletic field, and how many of them remember everything they did in a big victory versus the lessons they took away from the loss?
Yep.
That's where we learn. That's where we that's where we make that step forward. That's where we improve, and the guys that really go a long ways are the guys that have learned to get comfortable in the darkness.
Yes.
Most people talk the game, but most people have never been dark. That it's a whole different level, and it's between your ears. It's in your chest and it's between your ears.
It is. It's your heart. It is your heart and your head.
Yeah.
Failing is just a step towards success. Failure is when you quit. That's when you quit. You're done. That's when, if I'm going to call somebody a failure, that's because you stopped trying.
You gave up.
Failing. Yeah, your Spec Ops community, we fail at everything.
Yeah.
We always are failing. In fact, sometimes we're set up for failure. You're not supposed to succeed. How do you handle it? Do you learn from it? And that's, again, if Benghazi would have happened to me earlier in my career, if it would have happened the first time I went to Iraq and didn't happen 10 years after I was deploying, I do think the outcome would have been different. I think I still would have fought my ass off, but I still think I would have made bad decisions because first of all, I didn't know, and I hadn't failed as much, and I hadn't overcome as much, especially overseas, to know that we can still do this. I'd have been, holy shit, the military's not coming. I'm not used to this. By that time, I'd really got used to it because we were small units. I mean, hopefully they were coming, but usually we were the response force for everybody.
Right.
So you're right. Experience, learning to handle failing, not failure, but learning to handle failing, and then coming back 10 times stronger. It's the same thing shooting. You go to the range. I only know one guy, and he's in a comic book, and his name's Deadshot, that can hit every time through that freaking same hole. We're not machines. There's guys that can shoot well. But when you throw around, do you let it get in your head and it's going to screw up the rest of the day? Or do you say, okay, like I said, that round's gone. Can't take that thing back. Let's readjust, refire, and we shoot again. And we make it up the next time. Good shooters do that. And good people that are strong, are strong mentally, are able to do that. And I think the people that are strong mentally are the ones that become good shooters. I think it goes hand in hand. That's why shooting is it's a metaphor for life. The people on the left that are poo-pooing the 2A community, they're missing the whole thing. And if they would come out to the ranges and see us and how the camaraderie that you have, and you see all the ethnicities, and you do see all the genders out there, and you see that we're just out there having a good time, pumping each other up. We really are. That you can do this. You can do this. That 6-year-old lady I had in my course. You can do this, ma'am. You got this. And how good it felt when she was actually able to get that thing within that 6-inch dot from 7 meters. Never shot before. And just seeing the smile on her face. People that are naysayers to the gun community, they don't see that positivity. And I guarantee you, she's home now, a lot more confident that she can take care of herself. And she's going to come through another course. And that is something that, of course, we get that in the military. We're forced to. You actually get at the highest levels. But we also can get that on the range, especially if you are having instructors that are not intimidating, willing to take their time, patience. They don't sacrifice security. You still have to be safe out there, but are willing to actually sit there and just not coddle, but you're willing to be a firm, positive role model up there to make them work until they get it right. But to do it in a way that you're not screaming or yelling. So yeah, don't be a drill. I've seen some instructors that are drill sergeants. That doesn't, no. That has a place. It's called tryouts for Rangers. It's called vetting for the CIA. That is where the screaming is. But for open classes, you have to have that fine line. You don't have to be a pushover, but you have people that are scared to death. And also because they watch too much, maybe the left-wing media, they see that they think gun guys are just, HGH alpha males out there beating their chests, and we're not going to tolerate somebody that can't shoot. It's completely the opposite. I've only met a few instructors that are kind of like that, but the majority of them, nicest, most patient men and women in the world.
Right.
And the only time I've seen one screaming, actually, I've never seen one. I've seen a couple get a little upset, and I've had to pull them aside and tell them to relax a little bit. But for the most part, most of the 2A instructors, they're the nicest, most patient people in the world. And they just want you to get better. And what that does, it grows the 2A community. And when you grow the 2A community, it gets bigger. What does that do? Well, it makes it stronger. Now those dang politicians can't touch us because we're just too damn big.
Yeah.
Do you know of any 2A communities?
Do I? I think there's one here where you're at, if you want to, but no, you're in California, so probably not.
What's your gang
So-
sign? Is this your gang
This
sign?
is
E3?
actually, here, let me do E3. There, E3. Like this. I can't even, I used to do it till arthritis started to sit in on my broken fingers, so I can't do it anymore.
Just go like this.
There it is. Let's just do it easy way. Three up, y'all. Three up, G. But it's just amazing that the community gets such a bad rap, especially right now. And we're probably the most diverse, most patient, most confident, most willing to teach,
Most law abiding.
and most law abiding community on the planet. And I think as long as we keep saying that, we'll be fine. But I know we're in an uphill battle right now, but that's all right. Hey, it's adversity. We're used to it. That's all right. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Forged some more.
Yes.
Hey, Kris, obviously you blew up your contract. You went outside and operated on your own. So where are you at now? What are you doing now? Tell us about
Sure.
the podcast. Tell us about this new company.
Sure. Well, we of course we did the book, and that was a hard decision. That was a great team decision too. Not one of us decided to do it. We all decided as a team. If one of us dissented, we weren't going to do it. And the reason we did the book is because we just thought that was the best way to get it out, where it'd be non-politicized, at least right out the gate. We knew it was going to happen after, but at least in the beginning, the story didn't come out on Fox or CNN. It's like right here, this is what we told you, and this is from us. The reason our names weren't on the book is because at that time, the CIA wasn't going to let us put our names on the cover. We could put our names on the inside, but not on the cover. Go figure. I don't get that, but whatever. It still worked out. Book
You
did
wanted
well.
to say you were undercover.
I guess that's right. Yeah. You just hear that, Brett? That was awesome. Cue the drummer. But we did the movie. The movie was great experience in itself. Michael Bay was he was really good to us. He wanted to get it right. The actors I thought did an excellent job. Pablo and I would still consider him a friend. We don't see eyes to eye politically, but it doesn't matter. He wanted to get the story, my character right, correct, and he did. And to me, that speaks volumes of his character. I don't care. He's from Canada, so you kind of know which way he goes. All right, he's Canadian. But I think he's a great guy, and they did the movie right. That propelled me, and it was hard, but it propelled me in the speaking world. So I started doing speaking, and it wasn't easy to do at first, but I started to get good at it. Now I do a lot of corporate speaking, and I'm with a speaking bureau called Kepler Speakers Bureau. It's me. They do a good job. They have me. They have Kirk Leopold is on there with the USS Cole. Mark Nutch, who is horse soldier. He has a different name in his movie, but Chris Hemsworth played him in the movie. He's one. And then Matt Eversman has been a speaker for them forever at Black Hawk Down. So they do take very good care of us. And now that I've let a lot of the anger go, it's very therapeutic. I do enjoy the corporate speaking. I really do. And honestly, when you see a grown man, 60-year-old come up and cry, and it really makes you feel like you're doing the right thing. You're helping somebody get through.
So here you are, you're doing corporate speaking, these groups that are not usually 2A.
No, they aren't.
How surprised are they when they hear the actual story of Benghazi? Because they still, I think more than half the nation is asleep on this.
They see it because I don't get political in my stories. I used to. I don't speak to political groups anymore. I don't want to go down that route. And because when it's just a story, they actually, it's more or less of like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that's what happened. That's what I'll get. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. But a lot of it, they'll come up and they'll say, a lot of it's thank yous. I get a lot of thank yous. Say thank you. Thank you for saying that. Hey, thank you for talking about adversity. This is what I was really shocked at in the beginning, but I get it a lot now, was thank you for talking about God, because I bring faith in. I'll be honest with you, that is something I never thought I would get as much as I do. And that makes me feel good, because it makes me feel like, hey, the media is trying to push God out, but really God's still important in people's lives. So honestly, that is the biggest surprise question that I get, or the surprise thanks I get, is how many people actually still have faith and believe in God and want people to talk about it. They may not want to talk about it publicly, but they like that I will do. And I'll wear this thing. This cross is always out. It's always showing. And so it's been great. And to bring people over, and I don't know if they're going to vote. I don't get into that, which way they're going to vote, but at least to have them know that it's not some left wing or right wing conspiracy, as Obama would like to call it, makes me feel good. And on the biggest side is that I get to honor Roan and Bob and Kris and Sean still, and talk about their heroism. And hopefully people will go out and find out more about them and read more about them, or help their foundations. You know, Roan has the Tyrone Woods Wrestling Foundation. Glenn has the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation, which helps students by wrestling gear for high school students. Glenn's helps military children go to school with scholarships. And so I hope they get out there and they actually explore it more. As far as on the political side, I don't follow them that long. If it brings them over and that they now support whether the 2A community or they support those that do, great. If they don't, well, you know, at least I made them feel something that day, and feel something about how you can deal with adversity and still be strong as hell and come out the other side, as long as you find work, as long as you keep moving forward. Yeah. So that's beautiful. And then it led to me to do the training. I did Battle Line training, Battle Line Tactical, which is one of my training companies, and it's the training arm for E3 Firearms. And I started that with Boone. Boone and I, you know, sadly, we had a falling out. Just happens, you know, with friendships, they come and go. I still love him to death, but we don't train together anymore. He does his own training in Florida. If you have a chance to train with Boone, go train with him. He's an awesome instructor. But that is going Battle Line Tactical. I hold about 12 to 13 classes a year. Try to do it generally in the Midwest because I like to be home more. But I love them. We do some great stuff. But I tell people, if it's not an intro course, be ready to run. You're gonna get sweaty out here. And I tell them, not right now till my knee gets healed up, but usually I'm out there with my body armor on. I don't make them wear body armor on, but I say it. So if you guys get tired, I'm running right there with you, and I got body armor on. But it's fun. Yeah, it's just like I told you about the 60-year-old lady. It's therapeutic for me. It's so awesome to see that new shooter that may have been scared of this hunk of metal that doesn't do anything you don't tell it to do, now know how to use it. And now like, oh my gosh, just the confidence in their eyes, whether I hope they never have to use it, but I know that they at least know how, if they want to, if they have to use it, and just how confident they are. And then that's where we started E3. Honestly, E3 Farms, me and Adam, and I'm glad Adam was originally with it. He asked me to come, and I'm so happy he did. Adam, I have the same training mindset. I think you could probably tell from our conversation, your conversation with him and now mine, is that, you know, I think I'm a little bit more gregarious, a little bit more outgoing than Adam. He's a little bit more straight, but it works. You got to have the yin and the yang. And having that where now we can bring people into community that's like a social media community, like a Facebook community, where now you can talk about guns, you can talk about training. We're getting other people's inputs. You can talk about what you have on your gear, and here's what I think about this ammo, and not get trolled for it, and, you know, not get poo-pooed by the guys that are the gun porn guys or whoever else that may be hiding as one out there. It's been awesome because you're seeing the community start to grow, and you're seeing people put their 2 cents in, you know, it is. I hate using the say safe space, since it was used derogatorily so for many years, but it is a place where people can come in and talk about firearms, talk about training, talk about what they like on their gun. And then somebody has a disagreement. Hey, I don't like Vortex. I like EOTex. Oh, I like Lucid. No, I like Trijicon. Why? This is why. And people actually talk and not yell at each other because you don't like the same thing I like. And then also we'll have what E3 allows us to do, which I couldn't do with Battle Line just because of the finances. E3's, you know, has a lot more power as far as money than Battle Line does. So we can do these events that people come in and they're not just shooting. It's come in and shoot. Then let's go fishing, and let's go do a fireside chat. Or I'm still trying to get us on I want to go train on the, what's it called? The Bone Frog Ranch or Bullfrog Ranch, because I'm a big outdoor paranormal guy. I want to go shoot one day and then let's go find Sasquatch, you know, something like that. But that's what I see as far as with battle line, and that's where it could grow with E3 is when the battle line stuff, when the training was done, we kind of all went our separate ways. And a lot of people, they travel quite a ways to come train at my ranges. I did one where it was, let's do, like, I go run, I used to, but I said, let's go on a sightseeing tour or something after, and let's go have a drink. And if you want to, or let's do s'mores after. And people really responded to that. And it was like, hey, let's enjoy each other's company after we shoot. If you want to, you don't have to, and everybody would always stay, or being that, or buying dinner for everybody, saying, hey, thanks guys for coming. Let's go have dinner together.
Yeah,
E3.
I do. I like to break bread with people.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get everybody kind of on the same page, no matter what our differences are.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What about E3 again? I'm sorry, I cut you
Well,
off.
no, that's where E3 can just take it. They can take it to the next level. In fact, we've got a training coming up in September. And this was on my bucket list. I've always wanted to shoot around the Grand Canyon. I wanted to have that ambiance around me. And we actually are setting it up for next September. We're going to do, luckily E3 Association, they're outdoors. They do everything: overland camping, firearms, aviation, fishing. Firearms is just a small part of it, but they do a camping trip over there they do every year. Well, there's a range, and it's not in the Grand Canyon. We can't shoot in the Grand Canyon, guys. Sorry about that. They won't let us. The government will let us do it. State of Arizona won't let us do it. Utah. But at the rim of the Grand Canyon, there's a range out there that it's a private range, and Brian at E3 was able to get us booked on it. So that will be the event. So we'll get a shoot, but then we're also going to do, are you kidding me? Under the night fire in September at the rim of the Grand Canyon. Can you imagine what the sky is going to look like with all the stars out, and eating s'mores, and maybe drinking a little Tanto. I got my own vodka, so maybe I'll have some of my own Tanto vodka there. But to me, that's the path we need to go within the gun community. We got excellent trainers out there. There's excellent trainers everywhere. But let's make this now an experience where it's breaking bread together. It's seeing training and shooting at places that you may never get to go to because it's not allowed to go there. So while you're shooting, you can see the rim of the Grand Canyon and the Ford. That's an experience. And if you listen to what I talked about Benghazi was tactics, it was shooting, but it was an experience. Yeah. I took it all in. I took the firefights, the fires, the burning Land Cruisers. I still remember that, and the smells. And honestly, I don't want to forget that, because that was an experience that most people will never get through. I lived through it, and I see it as a positive. And that's why I want the training to learn to be more on the experience side of the house. And that's what E3 allows us to do. And then just having the ability to, Rob, I don't talk to people a lot on social media, like actually engage them. E3, I do. I get in there and I'm engaged, and I'm talking as much as I can. It's been a little less right now because of my knee, because I've been going to the doctor's office back and forth, but it's a place where if somebody has a specific question or just even wants to talk, or if they want to ask me, what do you think of Hillary Clinton, which I've been asked a million times, but it's a place where, I'm going to interact with you because, honestly, I want that community to grow. And if that interaction helps gain memberships and word of mouth, more people come in, and then get the training that Adam and I have put on there. Adam has some excellent courses on there, and we're going to add more. And him and I always do hip pocket training, which will be at the range, and we'll do a short 10-minute blip. If that brings them in, so now they're learning just more about how to be a law-abiding, efficient gun owner that knows how to handle their weapon systems. That's great. But the big thing is just let's make this an experience. And E3, they have the ability. The association has the ability to allow the firearms part of it to do stuff I don't think anybody could do, except maybe for groups like Thunder Ranch or the bigger ones, right, that have the money to. But even then, they're locked into where they go train, where we're not. We've got areas that nobody else can go train at. Let's go make it an experience. And of course, go throw a helicopter ride in there and go shoot some hogs. Anybody that's ridden, if it has not ridden on the skids of a Little Bird or ridden on a bench of a Little Bird going at Mach 10, yeah, that's fun. You're gonna like that. But that's what E3 is, and it's just starting. I think we're doing quite well. But it's still tough because social media wise, or even email wise, we're getting shadow banned. We're getting all our emails go into spam. So, But like I told Brian, and I told him in the beginning, and I said, I knew this going in, we're going to get that because the people that control the mass media are, most of them are gun haters, gun control loopies. I told Brian, it's a marathon, man. It's 13 hours. It's going to take a while. Just keep moving forward, find work, and it will take off. And I want to bring more instructors in to be part of it as well, because this is a perfect place for them to promote, and they're not going to get, banned. They can promote whatever they want on the activity feed and do their forums. And I think we've seen from that, because there are some other instructors that are on E3 and they're able to promote, and we're also able to put, have a personals. You can put personals up if you're selling a gun. We don't sell it for you, but you can put personals up if you're selling firearms. Where else can you do that on social media? Nowhere, unless you're a gun manufacturer and you have your own web page. But as a social media page, you can't do that anywhere else. Well, you can do it on ours. And people, and that also gets people together, because now they start interacting with each other. And as long as you got an FFL and it's going to another FFL, then we're good. So and I'm sorry, I keep knocking this. I know I'm all over the place.
You're
sorry.
good. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot thank you enough for jumping on here and sharing part of your story.
Thanks, sir.
I want to dive a little deeper down the road some. CCW has, we've got our own range. We got 50 farms. I don't know if you'd ever close, brother. If you want to jump down, we can do a class for you or something like that.
Bro, I would love that. What city? How far? Just maybe I can tell how far you are. How far are you? Where are you at?
Our range is actually about 20 minutes south of Oklahoma City, but our headquarters is in Oklahoma City. So we're like in the middle of the state.
You're right. No, but you're 3
hours and that's it.
Yeah. I have a range I use in Kiefer. I use right outside of Tulsa. So that's nothing, man. I'd be honored. I think it's something we can get scheduled. Rob, if you'd be willing to do that,
absolutely.
I think it's something that we should do. And dude, Midwest, I'm home. So I love Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is an underrated city. I think you guys got one of the coolest minor league baseball fields.
Oh yes.
And your half marathon and your marathon. I'm a runner. I was until last week. It is some of the coolest places to run downtown. I got pictures of whoever did those murals on those underpasses. Wow, those things are beautiful. So no, I'd be honored. We definitely need to hook that up.
That's awesome, brother. I want to thank everybody for tuning in again. We appreciate our regular followers. We want to thank Kris so much for jumping in and helping us out, like always. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach me direct. My email is rob@ccwsafe.com. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. And Kris, I can't thank you enough, brother. Thank you so very much, brother.
I'm honored, brother. And I'm sorry, everybody out there, if you're watching the video portion of this, I kept hitting my knee is blown out. I kept hitting the pillow like this. So if I made you seasick, I am so sorry about that. And Rob, I'm sorry, buddy, but thank you again for having me on and tolerating my injury to do this, man. I really appreciate it.
It's an honor, sir. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, God bless you, brother. And we'll be in touch. Just let me know and let's get something scheduled. Definitely.
For sure. Thank you, brother.
I'll take care.
I'll be with you.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Tell Philip thank you as well. I know he froze up, but tell him thank you. Okay.
Sure will.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye-bye.